Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers, if you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hey, Prime Attack peeps, or welcome back to the Prime Attack Files, a Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to all things heroes related. I am Lilith, and on the hunt for specials with me, as always, is
Ricky. Yikes.
Our discussion today is episode 401A and B, Orientation / Jump Push Fall. This is a weird, tricky episode, depending on what region you live in, apparently.
We're probably going to go all over the place with this episode because of the differences in watches. So yeah, let's just get on with it.
Let's head over to the recap. This episode aired on September 21st, 2009. The first part was written by Tim Crean and directed by David Stradion? That's a really weird last name. And the second episode, were they written by the same person?
No idea.
I guess they were. I don't know. It doesn't really say. So, whatever. Moving on. About that synopsis, Ricky.
Claire starts as a freshman in college, but cannot fully leave her old life behind. Peter returns to his job as a paramedic, saving people with the help of Mahinder's abilities. Hiro and Ando have started a dialer hero business, but Hiro of his powers and believes himself to be dying. Angela is worried about Nathan, who is starting to display Sylar's abilities. Samuel, Lydia, and Edgar use their abilities to find other heroes. Tracy continues to hunt down former Building 26 employees, including Noah and Danko. Sylar's consciousness manifests itself inside Matt's mind.
Okay, I know how we're going to do this. We're going to talk about part A first, and then we're going to come back and talk about part B. So right now we're talking about part A, Orientation. Places, people, and things you need to know are Samuel Sullivan, The Compass, Terrakinesis, the Sullivan Brothers Carnival, Annie, Edgar, Lydia, Gretchen Berg, and Joseph Sullivan's funeral. So Samuel is the guy that is in the background running the carnival. We don't really know what's going on at this point. It's on the peripheral. There's a compass tattoo and an actual compass that gets weird and freaky and never really explained.
It's this season's catalyst.
Terrakinesis is the power to control Earth. Well, it's like geological materials, minerals, dirt, rock.
I'm not convinced.
He's like old boy from the Planeteers, basically. Kwame.
Yeah.
He has a carnival that they can hide it from people that aren't specials.
The carnival is like, to begin with, it's like the vaguest thing in the world, and then even the characters are like the vaguest characters in the world because you hardly really see them, considering that Samuel is essentially the big bad of this season, and he doesn't really get going until like the middle of the season. So it's really weird. It's kind of like they didn't know. They knew that they knew that they wanted to do this carnival thing. They had Robert Nepper, and they were like, well, we'll just work it out as we go along.
Basically. And so I guess the catalyst for Samuel is the death of his brother. And while at this point, like, I liked it at this point. It was because it was vague and on the peripheral. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, yeah. He lost his brother. And, you know, maybe they're not going to make the carnies the bad people because that's such a bad, like, stereotype.
Yeah.
But, you know, heroes and their stereotypes.
Oh, they love it. I'm just going to start, just like the basic story of, like, everything. And, premiere. It's a decent enough premiere, you know. I think with the length and the amount of people that they have to kind of not introduce but like reintroduce and say where they're at. So you've basically got all the regular characters apart from Mahinder they're in place, and they're all making supposed fresh starts, and the new villains are in place with Sylar kind of on the periphery, but he's going to return.
He always starts that way, though. It ticks me off.
Exactly. But it's kind of like an aging sports team, in the fact that you've got all these old stars and you've got these new stars who kind of have to be like pushed forward, but they're just not accepted until like later on, where they have to rely on them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's kind of, yeah, so that's basically it. And from the beginning, opening montage, you kind of know who the quote-unquote players are, who are Samuel, Lydia, and Edgar. And the only way you kind of know that they're the main players is because they get screen time when Samuel is, giving his eulogy to his brother.
Which is a weird way to start the episode, by the way.
Yeah, but as you know, this being Heroes, none of them will probably last the rest of the season. At least they're making them kind of somewhat intriguing and unusual. And at the moment, they're not. It doesn't seem like they're trying to destroy the world. It doesn't seem like there's that world-altering kind of thing. But it is only the first episode, and stuff will change as we go on.
Claire?
Yeah.
Such a Phoebe Frady moment right now when I was rewatching this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Do you know what it else reminded me of? Her whole storyline reminds me of that Buffy episode where Buffy goes to college and she's got the really weird roommate, or the really perky roommate, and she's like, oh, she's got to be evil, she's got to be evil.
Yes!
She even looks like, kind of like her, like the whole short hair and really perky. But, I like Claire in this episode because it's her trying to be normal again. And she's not really whining about it. And, it's more fun to watch at this point. She's always going to have that kind of paranoia because of what she's just been through. And it's kind of fun to see her play with that and be a bit, dubious about this girl who's her roommate. I like the fact that kind of Gretchen knew about the murder at Claire's school, and that's not just been forgotten. And it's a really big thing, a big murder at a high school with someone being decapitated. Of course, like, people in the kind of same area would know about it, even though Claire's still trying to be normal.
She should have kept her last name Butler, honestly.
But Misery still stalks her and ends up with her roommate dying. And we never really know. Well, we do find out, but we're kind of left with what happened. So yeah.
Yeah, with a big glaring neon sign pointed at Gretchen.
Definitely, the signs were pointed at her throughout the whole kind of. I think it's also because Claire hasn't really had a friend.
Well, a female friend
in the show. Well, not even just that, just a normal friend in the show since Zach. And Zach took us a while, not to warm up to, but they were already established when they came into it. And so every time she starts making friends with, like, every time she's made friends with someone, they kind of either died or disappeared, or no one's ever stuck around for her. And that's what kind of makes us straight away think, oh, Gretchen, there's something weird about her.
Well, no offense to Madeline Zima either, though. They made like a point of making her look creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's that. But yeah, I really did like that, even though she had a GED, I was just like remember when Angela was telling her, oh, you got your GED, that's the best thing, you have all these choices from these great colleges. I was like, only because of your money, Angela. So I kind of like that Claire ended up going to the college that her mom went to, but at the same time, she's still very close to her dad, Noah, so I thought that was...
It took me a while, but as I started watching the episodes, I kind of realized that they had moved out of, like I knew they'd moved out of Odessa and they moved out of California, but now it's like it seems Heroes is kind of based more in Washington.
Yeah, the DMV area. Shout out to y'all.
Well, especially just Claire, and I'm assuming it's just Claire and Noah who are based there, whereas the rest of them are still where they were before.
But they always come to see Noah. Well, Tracy's there too,
but Noah's like in Heroes Reborn, he's the spine of the show, isn't he? He's the old sage who everyone goes to for advice.
Yeah.
Unless you're Angela, unless you're Nathan Petrelli, in which case you go to Ma. Ma, help me, Ma.
Yeah. I think she came out the best in these 2 episodes, honestly, Claire did.
And yeah, definitely. Let's move on to Hiro and Ando.
Sigh. Dial a hero business?
Yeah.
Like, they spent you know you get on this. If I was Kimiko, I would kick his butt too. This is ridiculous.
But it's kind of like the natural evolution of Hiro's character. He's always, even at the beginning of last season, he was like, he had the Hero Cave or the Ando Cave, and this is just like the natural progression. I think, and why not? He's got the money, but at the same time, it does make him look like a bit of a kind of a crackpot, I'd say.
It's like you have all this money and you start a dollar hero business. How come you didn't start a non-profit or something if you really wanted to help people?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just saying.
Or you just do that kind of Wayne Industries thing where you kind of, just have a tech business and just keep the tech for yourself, or, use it as a front. You can't really use Dial a Hero as a front because everyone knows what you're doing, yeah.
But this is where they set this really weird seed about, Ando being sad that him and Kimiko could have been a thing had it not been for the carnival where he spilled a slushie on her favorite dress.
Plot device.
Right?
Not even...
That right there, I was just like, what? Why are we talking about a slushie?
It's not even a plot device. It's a retcon. It's a complete retcon for... Well, it's weird because... we know, like Hiro says that's he went into the fortune teller and that's when he found out that, he was going to be a hero, and that's when he started working towards being a hero. But he's been gradually built up to be a hero. Like, he's always had these stories of Takeo Kensei, and that's what made him want to be a hero. So it's kind of like a mini retcon, I think, anyway, and also just a MacGuffin or a plot device that just needs to happen.
But yeah, that's the only thing, but no, at least because we always wonder why Kimiko hated him. When she was like, no, I don't want to give you a hug. I don't want to look at you.
I suppose, yeah.
When they met back in season 1. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But, yeah, I agree. It's definitely a mini retcon.
They did kind of bring up their kind of, not relationship, but, he saved her in one of the graphic novels. And, he didn't. Kato.
That in and of itself was a retcon a little bit, too.
So yeah.
Oh God, Peter.
Oh no, I want to carry on talking about Hiro.
Oh, okay, we can then, because it just fucks.
Well, no, it's like, I don't know. Hiro's always been one of those characters who's kind of just, I think the childishness of him makes him very innocent, and it makes him kind of untainted. And he's kind of a noble character, like the whole way through. No matter what they give him, he always stands true to kind of his convictions of, being a hero. And he's always playing the comic relief, and I don't think, like, I wasn't like tuning into Heroes every week just to be, Hero's dying, I wanted Hiro to do what he does, and that's, save people. So yeah, and we also know from like nearly every kind of main character, he's not going to die, and there's just going to be some way around it. Whereas, like, with kind of Sylar and Nathan, they pushed it straight away that, Sylar was coming through. And this one, they kind of just let drag out. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think, honestly, like, I don't know, it's weird, and I just hope, like, the way that they resolved this at the end of season 4 for Hiro, it was sweet and touching, but at the same time, it left you kind of like, really? That's all that you had to offer for this awesome character? Like, he continued to have potential, but every season it just dwindled more and more and more. And it was just like, I just couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it seems like, well, we obviously know that Hiro was created at the last minute to kind of bring that kind of light to the show. And it seems like they always had these kind of plans for everyone else, and Hiro was kind of just left the last one that they kind of thought of.
Hashtag side quest.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, he's saving a cat from basically a tree in this episode. Like, just...
yeah, definitely. So yeah, now we can move on to Peter, I guess, because, they're both of them are being heroes in their own kind of, in their everyday lives. You've got, and that makes sense because they're both the ones who kind of accepted the fact of their kind of quote unquote destiny, and it shows, they're the two who have kind of stayed constant throughout, whereas, Hiro's kind of had his side quests, but Peter's like gone through quite a good evolution as a character throughout the whole thing, and now it seems like he's kind of made his way up to kind of his brother's kind of quote unquote heroics. He's just kind of cold now, but he's still doing what he wants to do. He's still saving people, and the difference is between them is that Hiro is making it kind of his purpose and obvious that he's being a hero. whereas Peter's just hiding it and just, just making his wall of weird. And yeah.
Yeah, that was creepy. Yeah, it's like, okay, Peter thought, it's like now he's like an ambulance, an EMT guy instead of, being in a hospice
Yeah.
nurse. Instead of sitting with the dying, he's trying to save the living, and I think that that's like something to be said in meta or something, I guess. But I don't know, this Peter just felt really weird. Like I don't know, they never really got the character of Peter together for me. Like, I appreciate that they finally did make him kind of grow up and be a little bit more mature. But at the same time, I felt like that spark was gone for Peter. Do you know what I mean?
Well, is this about the time that they broke up? So maybe that's why.
Ooh.
I can't.
Ouch. And why we never see them together
Yeah.
except for like 2 scenes in all of season 4.
Um,
I didn't even put that together, actually, that they broke up and
in real life, yeah. So I think that's. I don't know if that's why. Like, I think that's why that they don't have as many scenes together, obviously. But yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Anyway, who should we move on to next?
Noah, I guess, because he gets that call from Angela, and she's like, there's 4 drowning murders on Danko's team. I'm pretty sure Tracy's responsible. Yeah. Watch your back.
Yeah, definitely. And he's, it's weird, like, especially in the kind of place that they were left in season 3, sorry. Because obviously, Angela and him, like, I thought that it was going to start with him at the helm of like a new company, and here we have him essentially being like a broken man. And I don't know whether, I think it's because he regrets what he did with creating the creation of kind of Cy Nathan, and also the breaking of his family, and now he's saying he wants, his family is what he wants now. He doesn't want to be a company man, but we've seen that throughout all of kind of every season and every kind of graphic novel. He can't stop being a company man. But yeah, you've got that. Is this the one with the? Yeah, he's got that. He's just a lonely old man, essentially. I think him and Nathan kind of are not going through the same thing, but they've got that kind of midlife crisis, and looking back on their lives, thinking what did they actually accomplish? And there's nothing sadder than seeing Noah having Brenna. A nice Scrubs reference there for you if you know what I'm talking about, and getting a call from Sandra. It's a nice way, and not even like talking to Sandra, just like seeing a voicemail, and it's a nice way of showing his lonely bachelor state of mind, I guess.
Yeah, and then to like make matters worse, like right as he gets off the phone and he's about to go be with Claire, we see his car start filling up with water.
Oh yeah.
And someone like is like freezing up, and then someone fires a gun, like shatters the car window, the water drains out, and it's like,
yeah, the thing I didn't get about this is obviously Tracy had to have been there to cause all that to happen, like the water to come out and the doors to freeze. Now she's suddenly got HRG and Danko, like what I'm assuming are the last 2 men on her list, in the same place together. Why is she not like trying anything to like kill them at this point? But it's Tracy. She's a doo-doo head, so yeah.
But no, like he like literally they had to have HRG explain it to Danko. He's like, how did she survive? And he's like, dude, I smelt you, dumb brat. It was just like, dude, it was just the weirdest thing ever. It was like, because the audience was like, really? Yeah. She lives again.
Were you really surprised to see Danko come back? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we were done with that.
But they didn't bring him in for long.
No, but he did provide a nice little bridge.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
You know what I mean, with the compass and everything, and he was like, So
that compass thing though, like when he was like hunting these special people, when did he get this kind of key for a compass, or when did he get this compass? That's never really explained, I don't think, is it? It's just a kind of MacGuffin City. Like the beginning is Recap City. This is this whole episode is MacGuffin City. So yeah,
it really is. But so we finally go back to the campus, and Claire walks by some cheerleaders, and we're like, and then Gretchen is like all smug about it, and she's like, I was just like, oh, you bitch. I really wanted Claire to be like a college cheerleader and get her life back.
I suppose, but it felt like she'd grown up out of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like she needed to have like be around people her age and like group activities. And do you know what I mean? Like a sense of normalcy or whatever.
yeah, and also
Friends instead of being a weird, awkward loner.
and looking after her father all the time. Yeah, definitely. What should we move on to next?
Oh, Angela is having lunch at a Kojin Sushi.
Yes.
And it's like, then she wakes up from like one of her dreams. And then as her car, you know what I mean? So it was just like, oh crap. Like, that was like the subtle hint that something, you know what I mean? Because it was Sylar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so Sylar
acting like Nathan.
So basically Sylar came in and was acting like Nathan. She woke up from her dream and Nathan came in and replayed the exact thing, but it's her dream telling her that Sylar's coming to the forefront, and that kind of in their conversation kind of comes out. And, you know, you've got those kind of awkward exchanges between them. And at the same time, Nathan feels that there's something wrong. And I like Angela's...
Because he asked if he likes sushi, and he doesn't know. Like, if you like sushi, you know it. It's a very acquired taste.
And I like Angela just blatantly just saying, yeah, you're having a midlife crisis. You're 40. Why don't you just do what your father did? Get a car and a woman of questionable morals and...
Tracy!
Yeah, do what needs to be done. But yeah, I like the fact that they're not umming and ahhing about whether or not Sylar's going to come back. They're pretty much just going straight away in the first episode with, yeah, he's coming back. It's going to be soon. It seems like it's going to be soon. So yeah.
Yeah, basically. And then finally we kind of catch up with Matt, and he's like kind of avoiding them because, you know, Matt's like, hey, Sylar is Sylar, but then she's like, you need to reinforce the Nathan persona and erase Sylar's memories again. And he's like, I'm out, I'm done, I don't want to do
I don't even use my power. I don't even use my powers anymore since you made me do that. So yeah.
Honestly, I felt like that when I was rewatching it. I was like, maybe that's why Sylar actually came to the forefront, because you weren't. It was like, you know, like you weren't like you had your like defense mechanisms down.
Yeah, maybe that's good reasoning. Yeah. And then, is this the one where he sees him? Yeah, he sees him at night, doesn't he? Holding the baby.
Yeah, like he has that. It seems like a
he's like
he stumbles over.
Yeah, he's having like a walking nightmare, I suppose.
He's like, I want my body back. That's how that episode is. Well, this part of the
it's Catch. That's the one. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and Claire's roommate dies in this one too, right?
Yeah. They're just so blasé about it. Yeah. And Claire's roommate dies. But yeah, it's true.
Like the window's open and she looks down and the body's all messed up.
And it should have just been like her like looking towards the camera and then just like shrugging and like, I guess here we go again.
I would have been like, I wonder if it's true that you get straight A's for the semester if your roommate commits suicide.
Definitely.
That's like an old urban legend or whatever. They made a whole movie about it. They missed an opportunity. But we should also mention that we kind of go back to the carnival as well, but in like a flashback.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in the present day, we see Samuel creating a new tattoo of Hiro on Lydia's back.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and then he goes to see an old man named Arnold who's also a time traveler.
And when I saw this, I was like, is this something that happens to time travelers? Like, do they just start mucking up because of their powers? Because Arnold looks fairly like he's been put through the ringer, doesn't he? But then again, he is old.
Is that not space sickness? I forget. I was reading a couple of books actually, and they kind of mentioned that about like if you are a time traveler and you do it too much, like it's a thing, and it's with the brain.
Okay.
It's continual.
It's probably having to meet yourself over and over again as a young kid.
And yeah, they're so blasé about it. That's probably the paradox problem.
What did you think of Samuel as a character?
honestly, I had a bad taste in my mouth because he was the one narrating or whatever. I'm just like, we can't even have Mohinder narrate now?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, like, by the time that I had watched it the third time, I actually liked the character of Samuel. It was just a shame how the character ended up. He could have been so much more. Like, he never really felt threatening enough to me to be the main villain. I felt sorry for him.
I did like the fact that, he's evil, pretty much the whole way throughout. Like, in my vague recollection of the season as a whole, he's evil the whole way throughout. There's no, let's give him like a sad backstory a la Sylar. He's just a straight evil character, and that's kind of what I want from my villains every now and then. I don't want to have to feel sorry for them. I want to feel that they need their comeuppance, and I think in this first episode,
I don't know. He's like Magneto for me personally. Okay. Like, I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and if I was a special and I had to hide, and the government had done all this other stuff to me, maybe I would be like kind of like Samuel. Do you know what I mean?
But
and his brother was the only thing that like
kind
of kept him in check. And
I do like the fact that at this moment in time, he kind of, even though he's vague, you kind of know that he's got a plan and he's got a purpose, and he's very like very much the cult kind of leader, which is funny considering he was in a show called Cult afterwards. But
yes, which was awesome in a cheesy way.
But yeah, I really like the kind of way that Robert Nepper like developed the character to be that kind of he's kind of like the opposite end or the male version of Angela, in the way that he's very good at manipulating and cajoling his quote unquote family, and he does it throughout the whole season, especially with Edgar and Lydia. The way that he kind of uses Lydia to kind of push Edgar to kind of do stuff, I really like that, and I think at the moment he stands out quite well just because of the way that he kind of the gravitas of the character, and so yeah.
Yeah. So do you just want to like stop here and like grade it and talk about all the stuff that you liked and didn't like, or?
I say we just do it in one big thing. Okay. Yeah. So we might as well.
All right. Well, let's move over to part B: Jump, Push, Fall. Okay. So yes, this was actually written by Adam Armis and Kay Foster, and it was directed by Ed Bianacci. Right? And so this is the episode where kind of like we see Sylar and Matt really go at it, and I like this. I like this part of the quote-unquote episode a lot more.
So
things get rolling.
Well, we start off, I'm assuming, with Claire being talked to by the police. I'm assuming because
no, it's Sylar and Matt. Okay, and he's explaining how he's at his head. Remember, like they literally pick up from the last part.
Okay. I like Sylar. Yeah. Sylar, like in that whole kind of aspect of him just playing on Matt's insecurities at this point, because Matt's never been the most confident person. We've always talked about how he just seems like he's taking what's given to him, and he's a settler. Do you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't think he can do any better. And I like the way he kind of plays on the whole Matt's infidelity, or Janice's infidelity, and it's obvious that there would be a lack of trust between them, and he uses it to kind of agitate, and he's trying to force Matt to use his powers. Like he basically wants to break Matt throughout the whole episode, and it works kind of twofold, I think. In he's hoping that it will like bring about his quote unquote reawakening, and it's Sylar's belief that those with power, he's always hated people who've got powers and don't want to use them, and that's why he's trying to get Matt to use his powers again. So
yeah. Oh my god, the most depressing thing of the episode is Noah. Like he opens his bachelor refrigerator, and it's like that episode of Family Guy where Quagmire's yep, my old girlfriend's yogurt. Like literally, and he's burning supper, and then he has to make himself a bowl of cereal. Then Sandra calls, and he hangs. The guy picks up the phone, and it's just
the old trope of the bachelor life, isn't it? It's like It's like a girl walks into a comic book shop and all the freaky males look at her. It's exactly the same thing. So yeah.
Boobies. Yeah, and then like Tracy calls him.
Why she calls him is beyond me because one minute she's trying to kill him, the next minute, oh, you survived. Well, I suppose we can talk.
Yeah, she goes. He goes to. They're at Danko's apartment. And she's like, "I didn't kill him," and it's like, "Who did?" And then
Yeah.
like, "Oh." Ugh, Hiro was so annoying in this episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Which one was this? Sorry.
It's where he's
Oh
in the
yeah.
carnival, and then young Hiro come up to him and give him. You know, he asked him to take the photo of Ando and him and Kimiko.
But
And I was just
I
like,
do like Samuel like essentially being the devil on Hero's shoulder and just being like, go on, you can do it. Just one thing will be fine. And I can like just see you just like as I'm describing it, I'm just like, rubbing my hands and like, yeah, you can do it. Go on, do it. And then at the end of it, he just ends up having to push him in front of it and then let him deal with the consequences. But
yup. It's just, I mean, I don't know. At this point, young Hero should be like, "Hey, why is this old man following me? He's seen this guy like 4 times." I'm just saying.
yeah, definitely.
Like, Daddy, there's an old man following me.
And he looks the same every time I see him. Oh god. But yeah, I like the Samuel kind of aspect of that. I think it's a really good quiet scene. It shows you how manipulative he can kind of be, and he's on a par with like Angela at the moment. But do they go back into the future at this point? He does, and then they're together, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Wouldn't that?
And he's like, "Success."
Yeah. Wouldn't that change everything else apart from that? But as once again, hashtag. It's been a while.
Hashtag
Yes,
Hero's
it's been a
Logic.
while. His hashtag Heroes Logic definitely. So yeah.
Oh.
Let's go on to. So we've done Matt. I don't know. We can do Parkman on his own because he's going to AA meetings, isn't he? At this point, and it's really weird how like he's in this AA meeting and he's shouting at like an imaginary person, and his partner's in the room with him. And why is he like not taken off duty for being like just a whack job at the moment? But yeah, I like the whole aspect of Matt just like being pushed to breaking point, and much like Samuel being the devil on Hero's shoulder, you've got Sylar on the shoulder of Matt Parkman, just trying to like use your powers, and he does. Oh no, that's the next one, isn't it? But yeah, you've got Sylar just essentially just like cajoling him, trying to make him use his powers. But yeah,
I love when Roy shows up though, the water guy,
yeah.
and Matt's like, "Hey, go get your own damn family."
I think is that the next one or is that this one?
This is this
Oh
one.
man, that's so long. Okay, yeah, and he basically at the end he wins out, doesn't he? Does Sylar, and he has that little smirk like, yeah, I did it. What else can we talk about?
Sandra drops by Claire's college, and she meets Gretchen, and she gives Gretchen the same look I gave her.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do like the little bit where Claire's talking to the police officer and the doors open and everyone's taking pictures. That feels like that hasn't changed in all those years. That hasn't changed.
Noah and Peter hook up.
Yes.
And they go to investigate Edgar. They go to, because, okay, so when he shows up at Danko's place, Tracy describes a guy named Edgar, and he's like, oh, the dude must have swallowed the key because all the cuts were to the stomach, so he reaches in and takes it. And so he calls in Peter to help him. And then he like tries to give Peter, hey, you need to stop living alone with no connections. And he's like, kettle calling the pot.
Right? And all Peter is thinking at the time, whenever it is, it's just like, ooh, someone can move fast. Oh, I need that. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the weird thing about Peter.
At the
Peter at the moment is very
just like one, like a straight vision of I have to save as many people as I can. He even mentions like, oh, in the past 6 weeks I've saved like 36 people or 56, one of those numbers. But he's even memorizing how many people he's saved, and he's very not close-minded, but he's got tunnel vision at the moment.
One track. Yeah.
And he's basically kind of like I guess Noah. He's always got like an ulterior motive for helping people now, who aren't part of his circle, and he's a one-man like saving crew at the moment, and Noah's asking him for help, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll help you." Takes his power, then afterwards, "Yeah, I'm not going to help you anymore. I just needed the power, peace," and then just zooms off. So yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And I like there's that little line that he says, like, I basically he wants to keep his life simple. He knows what he's doing, and that's it. Whenever Noah becomes involved, oh yeah, Noah, you kind of complicate things. So I don't need that kind of complication in my life, because obviously Peter is quite a dum-dum, so he needs to keep things simple. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tracy comes to see Noah in the hospital.
Yeah. Because he's been sliced to get the key back at this point, hasn't he? Or the compass, yes.
The compass.
Did you think that they were going to try and hook him up at this point?
I did, but then at the end of the season, I understand why, because he ain't really into blondes.
But like the whole kind of Tracy arc is getting very reminiscent of the Nikki arc at this point, because it's not that it's that whiny kind of thing, but it's just the kind of aimlessness of it's the aimlessness of the character. We know from previous like meetings of her that she's very power hungry and very manipulative. She'll do whatever she can to kind of get ahead. No pun intended. But I think that's why her and kind of Noah gravitate to each other, because they've kind of realized what they've done previously before, like all the Building 226 stuff kind of kicked off, and they've realized that they haven't really amounted to much, and that's kind of why they're kind of kindred spirits and helping each other out, or at least trying to help each other out at this point. So yeah.
Okay, I just want to talk about my like favorite scene, because it's the one of the last two scenes or whatever. Claire's like trying to sleep. Like Gretchen is put into her mind with like these forensic books about the jump push fall test, which is where the episode gets its name. And she just goes, screw it. And she jumps out the window. She lands, she dies and heals, and then she looks and she's like, oh, I guess she really did kill herself. And then as she looks up, she sees Gretchen. Yeah. And I'm like, really? Yeah. Like Gretchen's just looking out? Really?
Creeper Gretchen. So yeah.
And that Claire attracts creepers,
and it's another kind of Gretchen's a bit weird, kind of is there something ulterior going on here?
I almost thought she had a power at this point.
Yeah, definitely the power to be annoying. No, I'm joking.
Ouch. And then the last scene is Edgar goes back to the carnival and gives Samuel the compass, and they have that talk. And then he's like, they talk about Samuel replacing Arnold, and basically it's with Hiro. And he's like, you don't replace family. And he's like, well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Hiro's on a righteous path. Now we see images of Sylar, Peter, and Claire also. And it's just like, it's always the same people. Always.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, well.
This was the weaker of the two parts, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So we might as well just get into the review, I guess. Yep. Who's your favorite character?
I think it's Claire.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think it's really bad when we're just being like, oh well, she's bearable this episode, but yeah. I think I might go for Peter. I really like him. I really like this version of Peter. Like, even though he's very cold, I think he's kind of that good heroic at the moment. He has to go through this kind of moment of solitude to realize that he needs people around him, which is, quite a trope of, the superhero kind of teams, kind of genre type thing. So yeah. Character interaction?
I like Claire and Gretchen. I also like Noah and Peter, especially because Peter's like, got what I want. Later, bitches!
I think I'm going to go with Sylar and Matt because it's that you can't do anything about it, and that's basically what's wrong with it. Because Matt can't do anything about Sylar. He just has to put up with this kind of annoyingness at this point because he can't tell anyone what he's done because he has to live with the guilt of it as well. So yeah. What's next?
What about scenes?
I don't really know. You go first. What's your favorite scenes or scene or scenes?
I love the scene where Sylar's in Matt's head thinking that he might hurt the baby, and I was like, are they gonna kill Matt Jr.? Is it gonna get dark? Like, that was like the weirdest scene ever. And then he wakes up and Janice and nobody's there, so I was just like, oh, this is gonna be good. And they'll kill Janice.
If you have a look on our if you look on our Twitter, there's a picture of Sylar holding the baby and the baby looking really perturbed and quite scared. Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah. Any other scenes?
And then HRG looking at his bachelor man refrigerator. It was so depressing.
I think I might go for. I quite like the fight between Edgar and Peter because it's not behind closed doors. Sure, it's a bit wishy-washy in the kind of way that it happens, but seeing a fight with actual powers is something unique to heroes, which is weird because it hasn't happened in quite a long time. So it's good seeing them kind of putting a bit of money together for something.
Putting a bit of money together. You're so funny.
Let me see. I like if it's a midlife crisis. That's all it is. Here's my suggestion: you go out and you get yourself a big, expensive sports car and a younger woman with questionable morals. That's what your father did, and it worked for him. That was Angela to quote unquote sign Nathan.
No, he faked his death. That was his death.
Oh, he didn't fake his death. Yeah, he did actually. Yeah. What else? It's not healthy to live alone, Peter. No connections to anybody. It's a dead end. Trust me, I'm Exhibit A. For years, I put my job ahead of my family, and now my kids are off at school, and I'm eating cereal for dinner, and a strange man is answering my wife's phone. There is one thing I have to say about that. There is nothing wrong with eating cereal for dinner. Brinner is great. So, yeah.
I agree.
Well,
for me, it's my name. Hi, my name is Sylar. It's been about 6 weeks or so since I've seen my body, and I want it back. Also, Gretchen, maybe we could swipe a cadaver from the medical school. What? It's a victimless crime, and I kind of agree. I'm just
that
from the other.
That was very weird. That was kind of red flags for Gretchen, but yeah. So, yeah. Are we going to do grade? We'll do grade for the whole thing. So, what would you give the grade for the whole 2 episodes?
Average together, it comes out to a C+. But I'm going to say that part A was really good for me. It interested me. It just was kind of, I don't know, the way that they decided to structure it was weird. This one is down there. The only thing we really get is the compass, which is the driving force kind of sort of for the rest of the season.
Definitely.
So that is almost a D, honestly.
I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with a C, just a straight C. It's your average kind of episode. They kind of, and that's the thing about the premieres. They kind of have to reestablish the world that they're in. Some shows can do it better than others. The main one that I can think of off the top of my head is Fringe, but there's a reason why they have to reestablish the world. It's because the world is completely different. Whereas here, the world is the same. It's just having to reestablish how people are going back to their lives, and it seems every premiere has been all of them getting back on with their lives, and this kind of call to arms happens. But all we have is the compass and this vague kind of carnival looming over them, which we don't really know what's happening. So yeah.
Oh, and I just want to say, I think it's the first part of this episode. I saw Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, and I was like, oh my god! Somebody was reading it, and I was just like, that was funny.
Yeah. So let us do some trivia. Obviously, Kimiko mentions Heroes for Hire, which is obviously a Marvel Comics reference, which is a bit more relevant now because they're kind of bringing those into the Netflix, but they're not called Heroes for Hire, are they? So yeah. Um, Anna and no, that's a lame one. Manipulate tattoos, no, that's lame. Something which is
No, that's a Red Bradbury references are never
oh, go
lame.
on then.
So.
Do you wanna do it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay. So like the thing that I love the most about Samuel Sullivan is that he has a very similar kind of presence as this guy named GM Dark, which is like the owner of like a pantomime shadow show from Ray Bradbury's novel Something Wicked This Way Comes. Oh, Ray Bradbury, I love that man.
Yeah, I never got the whole manipulating of tattoos kind of thing. Even with you having to explain it to me every time, I still am thinking it's a bit much of a stretch, and that's not even taking.
It is a bit much of a stretch,
And
but they just kind of wanted to pay an homage to it.
and there's no other there's more that I can go on about in the rest of the season, but we'll get to that when we get to that about Samuel. Obviously, Samuel does the opening narrations, much to the chagrin of Lilith. Um, and Gretchen mentions Crossing Jordan, which is another one of Tim Cring's shows. So,
Which is awesome.
yeah.
And it got messed up because of the music that they always use.
Uh,
Oh, and then Nathan, damn it, get it right. Yellowtail sashimi.
yes, it's not sushi.
Thank you. Anyway.
So, we will move on to the graphic novels. The graphic novels at this point are kind of running concurrently with the webisodes, which is called Slow Burn. There's 10 episodes. We'll discuss them all in one at the mid-season break of Heroes. So yeah, listen out for that. But this one is called Stolen Fate. What? Listen. What?
You're just
Um,
like, nah,
Yeah, I haven't even read it. I haven't even watched any of them, and I won't. I'll just watch them in one binge watch. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Stolen Fate, which is it's set in the past, and Lydia's just joined the carnival, and she her and Edgar are off getting drunk somewhere, and they decide that they're gonna mess with the fortune teller. This is when Hiro is back in time, the 14 years previous. They take her crystal ball and they look into the crystal ball and they kind of see the future. And in the future, there's a baby, and Edgar and Lydia are together. Edgar kind of talks smack about the fortune teller and is, as usual, reprimanded by Samuel. And it's basically just Lydia's powers manifesting and kind of bringing the idea that there's a baby involved because the baby is brought up in slow burn. So yes. Or she's not.
yeah.
She's.
And it's Allie from Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah. Do we have?
Yeah. So, Stolen Fate is written by Zach Crayley, and then the art is by Louis Pugh. And then the Easter egg is behind the scenes photo of Robert Nepper, Don Oliveri, and Ray Park, aka Samuel, Lydia, and Edgar.
The old Carnival Trinity. Next up, we have Running in Circles, and this is basically when Edgar is going to get the compass. He's asked by Lydia to go get something or someone first, and then it flashes back to his life before the carnival and his power kind of first manifesting. At the same time, as him thinking about his flashback, it's him attacking Noah and getting the compass from him. And it kind of ends with you don't really know where his loyalties lie, whether it lies... I think at this point his loyalties don't really lie towards the carnival. It just lies towards Lydia because, she's a woman. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow!
He's a dog. He's a dog.
This issue was also written by Zach Crayley, but the art was by Michael Gados. The Easter egg was a behind-the-scenes photo of Allie Lauder and Ray Park in Danko's apartment.
Yes. Next up, we have the live tweeters. The following people joined us. They were either tweeting, retweeting, or faving during the episode. We have Lucio Bailey, Krishna_DW Girl, at Audrey Gianelli, Demetria Mills 3, Paraceline, Josh Guavara _ United Matt La 91, Zia 667, English Idiot 101, and Soft _ Guitar 60. Oh, thank you very much for joining. And the only bit of feedback I kind of have is we got our 950th follower on Twitter. It is at BRRobbieK. Thank you and welcome to the Heroes universe.
Looks like it's time for some shameless plugs and self-promotion. We'll start with the show contact info. We here at Primatech Files love listener feedback. If you would like to get a hold of us, we have a ton of ways. You can email us via primatechfiles@gmail.com. You can leave us a private message or interact with our posts over on facebook.com/primatechfiles. We live tweet 2 episodes per week every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information, be sure to follow us on Twitter at primatechfiles. You can also find us on Clamor, Tumblr, and YouTube by simply searching for Primatech Files. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. What's that? You don't have an iTunes account? That's okay. We're on a lot of podcatcher services such as Stitcher and SoundCloud. All you have to do is search for, you guessed it, Primatech Files. We're also on Libsyn, and if you want to follow our RSS feed there, all you have to do is go to primatechfiles.libsyn.com and bookmark the site to stay up to date with this podcast. Libsyn is spelled Libsyn, just in case you were wondering. We look forward to interacting with you.
If you love our podcast, be sure to check out Southgate Media Group's iTunes provider page to see a list of what other podcasts are hot and trending in our network. Or you can take that one step further and visit southgatemediagroup.com, where you can find a full list of our 80-plus podcasts, along with weekly blogs and information about all the hosts. With so many podcasts that cover everything from anime to wrestling, there's sure to be tons of podcasts that could interest you.
Hey guys, you should know by now that you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. If you have a Tumblr, be sure to check out it's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com. And of course, be sure to swing by my blog if you are a pop culture junkie or comic book geek at littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. I also host several other podcasts on the Southgate Media Group network. Some of them are The Flashpoint, Queen Consolidated, and Channel 52. So if you are into, obviously, DC comic book related stuff, be sure to check it out.
You can find my writings at tvbinges.com. It's a place for all your binge watching needs, and you can also create your own TV binge and we'll help promote it. We do a monthly binge watch, which you're more than welcome to join in. Just go to their Twitter at tvbinges just to find out more information. You can find me on Twitter at RickyJDiaz. That's RickyJDiaz, or Z if you're American.
Well, that brings us to the wrap up. We hope you enjoyed our very long discussion of the season 4 premiere orientation / jump push fall. I want to encourage you guys to follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. And please don't be afraid to send in those emails or interact with our Facebook posts. Please be sure to like, share, and comment.
Download the podcast, Save the World.